answers to the try these that I wanted you guys to do with multiplication. You got 20 plus 12i for number 7, 13. The reason why you get 13 is if you notice, the middle term cancels out. We're going to deal with that in a second. And with this one of the biggest things people might struggle with is I have 5 plus 3i times 5 plus 3i, and I'm just distributing that. And the last one you got 15 plus 10i. So let's look at division. So we are finding the quotient between these two quantities. The big thing that we want to do is look at the denominator and say, I have a complex number in the denominator. I cannot have a complex number in the denominator, kind of like an irrational number. So what's happening is I'm multiplying the denominator by its conjugate, which is CONJUGAE. And the big idea with the conjugate is that the terms are identical to each other, but the signs are different. They're in opposite signs. So if I look at number 8, the last question we did, this is an example of a conjugate. And the reason why we want to multiply it by its conjugate is because the middle terms cancel. And that's what happens here. Like I take the 2 times 2 to get 4, 2 times negative I to get negative 2i. Positive I times 2 gets me 2i. I times negative I gets me I squared. So the middle two terms, negative 2i and 2i, cancel each other out. Well, then I have 4 minus I squared, which is the same thing as saying minus negative 1, which gets me 5. And on the top is just regular multiplication. Now what happens next is I'm taking the 10 over 5, and I'm taking the 15i and dividing it by 5 too, which gets me 2 minus 3i. So let's try an example. So in this case I have 6 divided by 1 minus I. So the first thing I want to do is multiply the top and the bottom by its conjugate of the denominator. So I have a 1 minus I, so I have a 1 and an I that I'm multiplying on the top and bottom, but the sign is opposite of the minus sign, which is a plus. So I'm going to take 1 plus I on the top and the bottom. So on the top, I take 6 times 1 and I get 6. 6 times I is I get 6i. Now, in the denominator, what I'm doing is I have 1 times 1 gets me 1, plus I because I have the 1 and the I being multiplied together, minus I, because negative I times 1 gets me negative I, and then I have minus I squared. So first things I know is that the i's cancel out in the middle, and I have minus negative 1, which makes it a plus 1. So right now I have 6 plus 6i all over 2. So I'm going to take the 6 over 2, and I'm going to take the 6i and divide it by 2. And I end up with 3 plus 3i. So let's look at another example. So I have 1 minus I over 1 plus I. So I have 1 and I. They're going to be the same. I'm just going to take the opposite sign of plus is a minus. So I am going to distribute this. 1 times 1 is 1. Minus I plus I squared. In the denominator, I get 1 minus I plus I minus I squared. So this becomes a negative 1. This becomes a minus negative 1. And what happens is the 1 and negative 1 cancel, so I'm left with negative 2i. And I'm dividing that by positive 2, which just leaves me with negative I to be my answer. Here's the last two on the try these. These are the answers that you're hoping to get, and we will talk to you later.